you guys enjoy these videos, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to support the channel. And if you guys are interested in exclusive content, you can come check us out over on Patreon, where we do weekly crystal ball tarot dives to tarot classes, live tarot chats, and more. I'll put that link below. Thank you for your love and support. And now let's dive into the topic for today. What's going on, beautiful souls? Welcome back for another crystal ball and tarot read. As always, I'm really looking forward to diving into an energy report. We're going to be diving into the month of February today to see what we can get with energies, messages from the crystal ball and the tarot and the oracle. And starting off strong, we did have two oracles that popped up before I came on. The snake, and as I'm filming this, we're still in January, year of the snake. So a couple more weeks, we're entering into that fire horse as we approach February. And you guys, that is a big energy of movement, of ignition. So globally, 2026, this is not a quiet, subtle year. It is full of fast pivots with AI, with technology, with even resignations and removing the old cabal and guard, right? And on a side note, I posted my last video and I talked a little bit about the whole situation happening in Texas. There's like massive, I think, storms and some uncomfortable energies, but I got a lot of manipulation. But however, I did have justice right in the center, and it does show the counter forces. And the reason why I'm bringing this up again is the hummingbird to me is the counter forces. It is to me showing an increase in acceleration, an increase in frequency, speed, but it's a counter force energy from what I'm getting intuitively. And when we look at this is like explosive, like momentum that does come out when it comes to taking out these old structures that have been in place for a long time. So if you guys are interested, you can go check that video out, but you're going to see a lot of the same energy with a lot of shifts and shakeups happening globally for 2026. So let's see what we can pinpoint for the month of February. Now, I have received quite a few messages about, I don't know if this is in particular certain tarot readers or psychic mediums, but there's been quite a few people reaching out looking to see if I could look into some big earthquake that is potentially happening, or massive shifts when it comes to rising waters, and a big rift that is going to change everything, right? And I do have to say, you guys, as always, use your discernment, tune into your heart. But I do think there are a lot of, yes, amazing psychic mediums, tarot readers, crystal ball readers out there. And I just want to share though too, I do think there are a lot of individuals that could get kind of, off kilter with some of their own things that come to the surface as well when it comes to maybe their dreams or their visions as well. And I can't speak for what other people are getting intuitively. I can just share my perspective, but what I really want to say is, you guys, use your discernment, because from my perspective, I have not seen a massive earthquake that is going to be catastrophic and shake the entire world up, okay? I have not seen that. However, yes, I do think we're going to see some pretty big shakes, rattles, and rolls. And, along the way, yes, there could potentially be some unfortunate events that causes some casualties, okay? So we'll see what we can do with what messages we're getting out about any big quakes for the month of February, and we'll see if anything like that comes out. But I may even do more of a deeper dive in a specific separate video on that again. I did, on a side note, look into the New Madrid fault line on my Patreon. And again, yes, I've seen some quakes coming up in that areas and some tensions, but again, I did not see something catastrophic, at least not for the nearing months, okay? So with that being said, lovely souls, let's dive into the tarot and see what's the overall energy, what are we expecting for the month of February. And of course, we have our lovely assistant sidekick here today, giving you guys a bit of a show. All right, come on, girl. She's always has the best timing, right? Do you want to say hi? Look at how cute her little face and her little cosmic eyes are. Oh, she's so sweet. Little torties. Little tortitudes. All right, let's see what we can get here. And hopefully she doesn't spider monkey the desk and cause everything to go in 100 different directions. All right, so what can you share, Spirit? Let's dive into the overall energy for the collective globally for the month of February. What are we looking at, Spirit? What else can you share? What are we looking at for the month of February 2026 Fire Horse energy? If I can pick the cards up. All right. The Hanged Man. We have Justice coming out and the Devil. So you guys, we're not out of the waters yet. I feel like there's going to be still quite a bit of shakeups for the month of February. I'm not seeing all those rainbows and butterflies just yet. So let's dive into the report and see what we can get. All right, you guys, so looking into the core energy of February, it's quite interesting because the collective is coming out as the Hangman in reverse, though. It's like they are done. There is a kind of like a fire being lit under our butts right now, and I do think it could be absolutely connected to some form of political announcement that is made in the weeks to come as well, because there is something like with the challenge is the King of Cups here, and then we have people standing up here. So this is the collective is done waiting. The suspension is like ending almost abruptly here, and then there's full movement. And that full movement could absolutely represent, yes, like protests, like peaceful protests and people standing up, but it's a fire energy. And I do think with some of the other placements and the cards here, we can unfortunately expect even more conflicts to rise, more tensions to rise, and it could look, quite intense with this Five of Wands, right? But what I can say is there's quite a bit of like the stillness of like people just sitting on their hands, letting the governments share and dictate X, Y, and Z. That era is done. There is a whole new movement starting here. And with the challenge, the King of Cups, this is an emotional, I want to say like an emotional maturity, but that's the challenge, right? And we will look at this. This is to me pointing to certain leaderships because we also have that Devil in the in the outcome. And intuitively, you guys, we'll see what comes out of the crystal ball, but I do think there is going to be a big area of focus when it comes to some form of whistle blowing for maybe even the month of February or going early into the spring. And it feels very much related to the pharmaceutical companies. And when I get this King of Cups and the Ace of Cups and the Page of Swords in our external environment, there is an attempt to try to suppress that. And that's why I see this King of Cups as the challenge. There are certain individuals, the devil, the cabal, the diablo, that are trying to suppress honesty and the truth here, because it feels like that's a big theme that's coming out. It can't be stopped. It will come out, but they can toy and manipulate and try to suppress it, but it will come out here. So what we need to focus on with the Five of Swords or Five of Wands, I keep saying Five of Swords, guys, sorry. Five of Wands energy is, yes, a lot of conflict and a lot of amped up energy, but I feel like this is also looking at a fragmentation. And when we look at the energy of the Five of Wands here, this is a lot of like conflictions with maybe what social media says versus the media. And it's kind of like everyone's talking, but nobody's really listening, right? And I think that there's going to be so many different narratives that are pushed out there as well. And that's why I was getting not too long ago in meditation, this big cloud of fog over the collective. And again, for the bigger picture, you guys, that cloud of fog, when the outer world gets too crazy and too noisy, that is your cue to go inward. So I have to say, when we look at this, the past card here is we are leaving behind the extremes. We're leaving behind the lack of moderation. And really, I want to say, like, when we look at the energy of the government's really putting like patchwork solutions in place, right? That is ending. It's the collapse of like a forced harmony, right? And that really relates quite significantly, because when we also look at our strengths here, we have the Ace of Cups, but it is in reverse. And usually you'd be like, okay, well, that looks kind of weak to be our strength, right? But it seems very strategic, because it is the emotional withdrawal. What I get, you guys, it is us not trying to battle. What's like the term? It's like, instead of trying to like consistently battle and give our energy and give our 2 cents to this devil, there's a realization and a break in that stagnation. So this is saying, hey, the collective is actually going to be able to move forward with emotionally withdrawing, conserving their energy, and also being able to close any of these leaks that are happening on the political forefront. So I think a big message is, you guys, not everything is going to deserve access to your heart. And that's where discernment comes in. And with the acceleration, like the hummingbird, the AI, the crazy stuff that is going to speed up in 2026, that is going to be really key about like how you decide to move forward in your personal reality here, okay? We have the near future as the Queen of Cups, and this is positive for the short term. It does show a lot of intuitive knowledge that is coming online. I do think this is the healers, this is the energy workers, this is the quiet stability that is working beneath the surface. And I get a big energy again of counter forces. That doesn't mean they're coming in to save everyone or save the day, but what's happening is the dismantling of the devil, and that's where their role is really like intertwined with here. So in the near future, I feel like the heart returns, it opens, it becomes wiser, it becomes more in tune with your true intuition and using your discernment in this crazy world, right? Now, it's quite interesting because we have the advice as the justice, and I like this because this is the truth coming out. This is accountability. I will say it's not going to be comfortable for a lot of people. It's like sometimes that statement, the truth hurts. And that's what I really hear loudly. The truth is going to hurt for many people because it feels, oh my, I want to do crystal ball gazing in a minute because I feel like there's some tidbits coming in about relations to also, honestly, religions and people's belief systems being shook up, and it's gonna make them see the world from a whole different angle. And that's where that hangman in reverse, this is breaking from the what's the word, not the curse, but breaking from that hypnotic state that many people are put in, especially when we're looking at the occults here, or the cults, I guess I can say. I get a big cult energy with the devil. So I feel like I'm being pulled in a couple different directions, so we'll see if we can kind of circle back with a crystal ball and kind of recap with some of this. But the justice to me is showing a big energy of the distortions here are being dismantled, and it is for the greater good, even if the truth hurts, even if there is some conflict and accelerated emotions with that, okay? Because again, what's going to make these distortions kind of break through, or help the collective break through these distortions, is being pushed to our limits. And that is, I feel like, also why we have this king over the challenge, because I do think as we head forward, I'm not sure if this is exactly in February, you guys, but I feel like there's going to be a big announcement from a potential like political leader in relations to, honestly, Page of Swords is surveillance. It's AI, it's technology. It's that image of trying to push this dystopian future. And the people are like, no, this is not happening. And then there's that breaking out of the trance, because it's kind of like a forced push. I guess we can say is what I get, right? The Page of Swords in my external environment is, I'm getting a couple different things. It is surveillance, you guys, okay? But this is also the collective externally getting curious, and I encourage you guys to become curious, because when you guys are more curious and you start asking questions and looking into things, there's beautiful energies that surface from that. So This could even point to a lot of the youth, the younger generation that are going to vocalize their voice, and they're going to be curious about also leaking truths. Whistle, this is my whistleblower, this is my social media card. And there's also a big energy, as I said earlier, big truths I feel like coming out, especially with the devil relating to pharmaceutical industries, maybe the pokey pokies, the jabs, all of that, okay? And there's going to be some big moments that come out in the very near future with truth bombs. They are trying to, I feel like, come out now, but they're being suppressed here. But I think with the momentum of this is still something that is going to be released regardless. Ooh, and you guys, what I get very strongly with the Page of Swords here is this is a mental, like, to me, it's like a mental stimulation. It's a mentally charged card, right? And this is really showing us that the collective reaches a point that, yes, they're questioning those narratives. They are curious. They want to know the truth, even if the truth hurts. And in turn, that represents people no longer being obedient to these systems. So it's, yes, it's spicy, it's uncomfortable, but that's what we need, okay? It is showing that we're not going to roll over and just comply to all their surveillance and all their centralized systems and dystopian plans for the future, okay? So I love that. And the Page of Wands in our hopes and fears is a new inspiration, a new momentum moving forward. Especially I get a very strong energy with these pages with the youth, the younger generation. But I do think with the Fire Horse as well entering into February with that card, it gives it an amped up energy that really kind of like moves forward with courage. So that page is still like kind of testing the waters and kind of getting out there and experimenting. But I feel like with the Fire Horse, it really shows that it feeds it quite strongly, and that could represent a lot of people getting the courage to stand up and really demand the truth, which is again why there's going to be potentially a lot more protests and movements globally, worldwide here. Now, when we look at the potentials, the outcome, I know you guys are probably not going to love that card because the outcome shows the devil. It doesn't mean the devil's winning, you guys. What this really shows is this is the dependency of these systems, and the fact that we have the breakthrough of the dependency of these systems is huge. And to me, this is showing awareness. The awareness spell will break and people start to realize, are we being lied to? Are they pulling the like wool over our eyes, right? There's a lot of questioning the narratives, and in turn it's going to have more and more people again waking up and breaking that spell. And also, you guys, what I get so strongly with this energy is there is going to be some form of an announcement. Interesting, because on the back of the deck I have the Knight of Cups. He's like coming forward with an announcement from a most likely a political leader with that King of Cups, but there's something to do with the bondage, and it becomes so visible that people are like, wait a minute, right? It's like there's a massive wake up call here, and something that is announced, something that is said, there's a big pushback and awareness that is really linked to some form of announcement. I don't know who this is or what is being said. I do think it could relate to maybe the pharmaceutical industry, but I also am getting something very strong about the like the whole perspective of religion. Okay, so maybe we'll see what the crystal ball has to say in a moment, but big month, you guys, of exposure, acceleration. And you know what, look at this Hangman. This one is somebody being hung out to dry. We have also potentially the takedown of a very big, potentially political leader or somebody that is very much in the spotlight here. Let's take a oracle card with one of these decks and see if we can get any more energies, and then I'm going to do a crystal ball gaze. What final messages can you share, Spirit? The Vessel. Okay, we have the Womb. It was flipped upside down, so the Vessel, the Womb. What can I get one more for? And the Castle. The Castle and the Poet. This is my big, you know what's funny, you guys? I'm like, could this King of Cups be related to the royal family? And I was like, I'm not really doing a royal family reading, but there's that castle again. And not only does it only have to represent the royal family, but we can look at the whole empires, the structures, the cabal, the devil there. But this could also be some big news, maybe even announced by the royal family, or something to do linked with that king and the castle. So interesting. And I think how we can conclude, the vessel really screams to me like the collective, you guys, is breaking free from this old trance, and they're realizing like, hey, look at with this Ace of Cups in reverse. They're realizing we cannot pour a new frequency into an old container. And that's why the whole structure is shifting here, because we're not obedient with these old structures any longer. So this is actually a really big month that I feel like is gonna set up a lot of energies for the rest of 2026. But the castle is those old fortresses that are, guess what, being questioned. And I do think this is showing the hierarchy, the power, the walls. It's really showing that these structures that have been built for a long time are ready to crumble, because we also have the womb, and the womb is pressure without the stagnation here. So I do think that this is a big gestation period, and there are new levels of energies and frequencies that we are rising to. And even if we can't see it just yet, the womb with this rest of this energy really screams to me things are being formed, like the gestation behind the scenes as well. And that's why I keep getting that counter forces with this hummingbird as well. So it's kind of interesting that comes out. I mean, the poet as well is it's kind of interesting. Looks like they're holding this crystal ball. Look at that. And this really gives me a big energy of like looking at the momentum of these old systems, right? There's new narratives that are replacing the old scripts. And it's really about like resonance and being able to decide where you're going to give your heart energy, right? So that comes out quite strongly. So with that being said, let's take a few moments. I'm going to see what messages we can get in the crystal ball, so we can dive into more specifics with maybe events happening globally and see what messages want to come out, and then maybe we'll pull a couple more cards. All right, you guys, so this is actually a very specific image, but I'm going to share it with you. What I see is Mount Shasta, and I have been there before, so it just really connected when I seen that mountain. And Brad and I had an amazing experience and exploration around that area. But what I see is Mount Shasta, and then to the left of it is this like massive being, and it brings me back to these clips that I seen. This was like maybe going back even quite a while ago, but this one guy captured these large beings walking on mountains, right? And I don't know if this is a sighting or something being shown exactly on Mount Shasta, but that's what I'm getting right now. Like large beings on top. Like it's interesting because Mount Shasta is like huge, and these beings are huge. It is huge. It looks bigger than the mountain itself, which is quite interesting. So maybe there's some kind of I don't know if some kind of a capture or something to do with seeing some kind of extraterrestrial or interesting presence around Mount Shasta as we head forward. So that's the first thing that popped out immediately. So that was kind of cool. Let's see what else we have. I'm seeing two different things right now, you guys, and I think that there's going to be a lot more talk and focus on potentially Antarctica. It looks like I see like thick ice, and there's like something brewing underneath the ice. So I'm going to do a bigger video specifically on that, but Antarctica could be a focus for February. And then off to the side, there is like a ship, but this okay, interesting, because we have a vessel here, like a vessel, a ship within the waters at sea. And I know this is very vague, but it does look like this could be a potential shipwreck that could happen at sea. But again, I don't necessarily, unless this is pinpointing it somewhere near Antarctica, but there's something to do with, I'm seeing on the bottom of the crystal ball, Antarctica, like a very thick ice and some round dark disc underneath it, and then there's like the ship in the distance, but this ship it's like there's a shipwreck happening as well. So just sharing again what I can see out of the crystal ball. So some of that was a little bit vague, but I want to do more of a bit of a deep dive on Antarctica and that image that's coming out. But I think that could be a very big video, so I'm gonna do that one separately. All right, let's see what else is coming out here. Now I'm going to just say a general, I'm gonna just say East Asia here, you guys, but there's a lot of like nervous energy right now. I feel like East Asia, or we could even look at maybe China as being a big area of focus, probably more so through 2026, but also I'm getting February for these pinpointed areas, and it feels like it could be something in relate to like a shift in power dynamics. Again, that's what I get very strongly with potentially takedowns of certain individuals here. So it feels a little nervous, like the energy feels nervous around this area, but I feel like it could be a big area of focus for February. But it really does feel like a big shift in power dynamics, maybe involving trade or certain agreements happening behind the scenes. So big power dynamic shifts within East Asia is what comes out really strong. Again, with this crystal ball, I get it with the other ball as well, but I often see like very holographic colors that come out, and they are beautiful, but sometimes they remind me of oil. And it's like that oil residue, you know, when you have a car that's leaking oil and you can see that holographic, puddle that it leaves in the driveway. That's what I'm seeing. And in general, from a symbolic perspective, that could really mean a focus on looking at, oil. And that's a big talk right now with Trump and certain agreements with like Venezuela, etc. So oil seems to be a big topic. And you know what's interesting? We don't have any pentacles out here, you guys. So I might just pull let's just pull a couple cards on that image. Let's just see, Spirit, the image of the oil spill I'm seeing, is this related to an actual oil spill, or is there something a little bit deeper? Like, what is this oil that I'm seeing in the crystal ball? Well, let's just see if we can get a bit more. Okay, there we have the pentacles. 6 of Cups. Oh, we have that Queen again. And then we have 8 of Pentacles. Okay. Now, one thing that is forming in the crystal ball, though, actually is a river underneath it. So I'm going to just share what I'm getting in terms of we could expect some sort of maybe an oil spill. Maybe that's what is also related to that big ship that I seen. So I will share that, but also on a perspective, it feels like a lot of deals being made. This could even represent looking at the price of oil maybe increasing with this energy, but it looks like a lot of deals being made around and in related to oil here. So that's kind of the general energy there. Let's keep going. I just wanted to see if there was anything deeper, but as I was looking for more clarity, I did see very much a bend, like a river bend, or a body of water, I guess I can say. I don't know if it's necessarily a river, but a body of water, and then I see that oil. Okay, let's see. Oh, that is so cool. The hummingbird is coming out. We have a hummingbird and there's a hummingbird coming out. I mean, from one perspective as well, when I look at this hummingbird, that could represent also looking at maybe the extinction of certain hummingbirds as well in certain parts of the world. So that it's interesting that it came up in the crystal ball, and we also have it in the oracle. So big kind of like emphasis on our beautiful hummingbirds there. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm seeing Easter Island now. And there's like an activation that's happening as well. Let's pull a couple cards on this because I'm seeing like activations in Easter, like where Easter Island is. But I'm also seeing, okay, a while ago I was talking about additional, you guys remember when there's like monoliths that have been popping up? I don't necessarily see this as a monolith, but I wonder if there's more discoveries. But it looks like there is something about activations happening in February around Easter Island, and it is going to have a ripple effect for the world as well. Let's see. Now, this could potentially be symbolic, but it's kind of interesting too because you guys, if we look at the moon, remember how I said there's something about, again, to me, these look a little bit like the monoliths, but I think with the moon here, it can confirm like some form of like buried truths or something being discovered as well, because we have the high priestess about something that has been there for a very long time. So kind of interesting, but Easter Island seems to be quite a focal point as well, and that could represent some truths and knowledge coming out about Easter Island or new, maybe even artifacts. This is that energy. It is in the past, so maybe they've recently discovered something that they're studying when it comes to really understanding maybe certain ancient civilizations, etc. So that seems to be also a pinpointed area for February. Easter Island. Interesting, guys. Mount Shasta, now Easter Island. So, okay, let's see if there is anything else. I know a big topic was really asking about also the whole earthquakes or rising of floods or rising of water. So I'll see if I can get that or see if we can specifically tune into that energy. Okay, so before we look into that energy, actually there's one more like mention that I want to bring up here though as well, and I'm seeing highlighting the Netherlands, and this is really showing like the infrastructure. There could be a critical point that is, I don't want to say like a full collapse, but there's something stressing the infrastructure within Netherlands. I mean, this is happening globally, but it's pinpointing Netherlands, so maybe we're going to hear some big things come out of that location and area. But it feels like there is a big shift and a rippling effect as well that is originating right now from the Netherlands. So interesting. I keep seeing Mount Shasta and these beans, you guys. It's really neat looking. Okay, let's try to turn the gears. Okay, Spirit, let's see. What can you share with us? Let's pull tarot on this too. Final look here. And then I might go into some deeper things with this whole February report in another video. So again, if you guys are interested, come and join me over on Patreon. But let me see, Spirit, when it comes to the potential of any massive big earthquakes, somebody was asking specifically around California, what can you share? Is there any potential for massive quakes, massive flooding, catastrophes happening? Well, I don't have my tower, you guys. I don't have, the death card. I don't have like a ton to say there's gonna be some catastrophic like earthquake. At least not within the next like little while here. This feels like it's more of potentially, it could be absolutely, yes, we can experience some tremors. But again, that's why I think it's so important to tune into your heart, because there is, you guys, a lot of fear porn out there and it really puts people on edge. But honestly, with the tarot, I see more of like, yes, we may actually see certain flooding that happens, and that could represent needing to like move to higher ground grounds, for example. So I'm not going to say there aren't going to be any weather manipulations or weather events that can lead to flooding or tremors or earthquakes. But when it comes to some big one that a lot of people are questioning, I don't get that, you guys. And I haven't gotten that again and again. So again, that's just the energy that I see. But let me see if we can pinpoint this a little bit more. I know in the past, okay, I always love when it gives me an arrow. It tells me what way to move the crystal ball. All right. Okay. So I have said this before, but the Ring of Fire is a big area of focus. And I feel like this is still a continuation of being an area of focus, especially for some potential earthquakes to really erupt or disrupt over the next maybe even 3 months here. Now, another big topic was the New Madrid fault line, and I do see an amped up energy of resistance and tremors and earthquakes. But again, in terms of like a catastrophic where things are being wiped out, I still don't get that. But what the crystal ball is also really pinpointing, you guys, is it's like an area, to me, this is coming up as the Balkans, and it's kind of an area that's like not super expected. Or I can say, like, when you think of earthquakes, this wouldn't be a typical area you would like think that they would have a decent sized earthquake. But I get somewhere around the Balkans, and I know that's still a big broad, but I'm just seeing again the outline, and it feels like this could relate to some form of a potential earthquake that could surface around those areas. But yeah, again, I don't see it being catastrophic, you guys. It feels like maybe if we're looking at this, it could maybe be 5, maybe 5 or 6 on the Richter scale. And, you know, with unfortunately the 3 of Swords, yes, this could be a loss. This could be a sadness. This could be losing or having casualties, you know, looking at globally. Because I do think, look at the back of the deck is the 2 of Wands as well. This is not just to pinpoint one specific place. I do think globally, worldwide, we can expect to see Mother Earth shifting and shaking. And to bring back the whole scenario and situation also of Texas and that whole storm that's coming, this is again, a lot of it is being manipulated to again take down a lot of the cabal right now. So we're going to see a lot of shakes and tremors and situations happening underneath the surface. But again, I'm sticking to the energy that I don't see anything massive catastrophic where it's breaking apart pieces and masses of the land or taking out a huge percentage of the population. I don't see that, okay? And again, I can't talk for other, you know, mediums or psychics or tarot readers, but what I do want to share as well is sometimes when we have visions, you guys, not always does our dreams mean quite literal, like a literal scenario happening. A lot of the times it's our under emotional, our currents that are trying to show us signals, trying to show us what's lying underneath the surface. So not always are our visions and our dreams quite literal. And I think that's a big important note, especially with this 9 of Wands. It's like everybody is also expecting some big one to happen. And I mean, we also have the card of, to me, this is that counter forces, the alliances working here. So overall, I mean, this energy does show, like, yes, I do think we're going to see some big shakeups and switches and turns, and the earth is like moving and shaking and shifting. But again, in terms of like a massive devastation or massive catastrophic event, I don't see that, okay? So I would say I'm going to conclude, I think, around this topic, and then maybe if you guys are interested, we'll dive into some more stuff specifically. But overall, I think areas of focus would be looking at certain situations with tremors, yes, around the New Madrid fault line, but also the Ring of Fire seems to be a big one, and the Balkans seems to be like something to do with unexpected, and I actually get like an earthquake around there. But with that being said, let's pull a couple final oracles here and see what final messages want to come out. Spirit, what can you share for the collective as we approach February? Ooh, we've got energy, power, aura, and depletion. This is call your energy back to you. And while I'm thinking of this right now, you guys, on my Patreon for free, I do also have a new series that I have launched, and it will be continuing to build up as time goes on. But I'm going to be doing like zodiac polls. Sometimes they'll be monthly ones or just general zodiac polls. So if you guys are interested in that, come and check it out. But on a side note, to conclude today, that energy that we have, you guys, it's power, it's aura. It also says depletion, 44. We have that master number. And when we look at the current energy and how this can connect to our February report, you guys, power here is not falling because it's so-called attacked. But when you look at that disconnect, that depletion, it's failing because it's no longer being fed, right? So where are you guys feeding your energy? Because again, that external world from a bigger perspective and a bigger picture doesn't matter. It's what's inside. How you choose to go inwards is really what matters. So it's more about, I feel like, reclaiming our energy and returning to the body, to the truth, to the origin. And the back of the deck too is acceptance. So this is beautiful. It says letting go. Talks about water and non-resistant. It says you can surrender, let go now to what is. Look at that beautiful energy, and that's a number 42. So overall, interesting enough that we have that water, and we did have a lot of that Ace of Cups that came up multiple times. So yeah, here it is, that Ace of Cups. So when we're looking at the world events and energies, I do think a lot of this could be water related for the month of February, or potentially looking at flooding or things that are happening within the oceans, within the rivers. That seems to be a big area of focus. But let go with any of these external situations, you guys, and tune inwards, tune into your heart, and really decide who and what is going to get your energy. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your either morning, afternoon, and evening, and until next time, bye for now.